Thank you, everyone, for joining me week after week for these live internet studies. This is a study on Matthew 9:14 through 17, roughly entitled Judaism v. Christianity, or the long title is, Are Judaism and Christianity Incompatible with One Another? And we're having discussions about this idea of if the theology that Jesus brought to the people in the first century of that day, was it so brand new, so radically different than what was already being circulated and taught, so as to displace the existing theology of the day, the existing practices of the day. So most of you are familiar with this idea of replacement theology or supersessionism. It's this concept of the church has replaced Israel as a people group. Scripture-wise, the New Testament has replaced the Old Testament, or theologically, we could say the law of Christ has displaced the law of Moses. However you want to term it or describe it, it all kind of amounts to the same idea that there was a changing of the guards, right? The old is out, the new is in, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of this discussion is centered on other passages that we find in the New Testament, right? You're not really going to find the Old Testament saying, behold, the days are coming when I'm going to swap out people groups, right? I'm going to switch everything up, and I'm going to discard the old and start something fresh. But you will find verses here and there in the New Testament that seem to lend support to this idea that this new idea is taking hold. And one of the places that we find this is here in Matthew, this example that we're going to read. So let me read this the passage in question. I've been kind of reading it every time just to get us started. Matthew 9, starting at verse 14. This is ESV that you see in front of you on your screen. And then the disciples of John came to him, speaking to him here is Jesus, saying, why do we and the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast? Now listen to Jesus' answer. Listen to Yeshua's words. Verse 15. And Jesus said to them, can the wedding guests mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? Days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and they will fast. Now, that's one part of three anecdotal or, parabolic stories that he weaves together. Some see them as disconnected, some see them as all lumped together. I'm not sure either way, to be honest with you. It can go either way, as far as I can tell. But there's the detail about the fasting. That's one of three. And then the next one starts in verse 15. Started 16. No one puts a piece of unshrunk cloth in an old garment, for the patch tears away from the garment and a worse tear is made. So that's the second one, is that verse 16. And then the third one in verse 17, and that's the conclusion. Neither is new wine put into old wineskins. If it is, the skins burst and the wine is spilled and the skins are destroyed. But new wine is put into fresh wineskins, and so both are preserved. And that's the end of the section, and then he moves on, talks about other things. And what we talked about last week is in challenge to this idea of replacement theology, where it's kind of just standard song and dance in historic Christianity up to this point now, meaning I say up to this point, meaning up to this modern view of Christianity. When this idea of replacement theology first took hold in the church, I can't say for certain. I think it started circulating as early as the late first century with Marcion. He was a church heretic who was fond of championing the idea that the Old Testament and the Old Testament God was not trustable because of its harsh treatment and display of God, and thus the New Testament, the Bible that we Christians carry, should be expunged of anything that has Old Testament and things like that. So, I mean, it's very early in Christian history. You know, if we're saying Christian meaning first century and later, that this idea that something new has hit the scene. It's just kind of almost unquestioned in today's dialogue and narratives. If you have a conversation with a Christian pastor, a seminarian, someone who's a Bible student or leads Bible studies or anything like that, even your garden variety Christian, it's just kind of common knowledge. I'm using the word knowledge with air quotes with my fingers. It's just kind of common understanding that obviously the Old Testament got replaced by the New Testament. The law of Moses got displaced and replaced by the law of Christ, and the church took up the mantle of being the new people of God because the Jews failed God so miserably, etc., etc., etc. So